Welcome to Pathetic, the podcast, where your hosts, myself, Ted Daniels, Jeff, Mikey C, we are here coming at you again. I hope you enjoyed, especially the last two episodes. The last one was one of my favorites, the bucket list episode. We had a lot of fun talking about that. We probably talked for about an hour before and after that show about our bucket list. But we're going to have a quick hitter for you tonight. Just a couple of things we want to touch on. Mikey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. It is 4th of July week. It is one of my bucket list items, as I said, that I've been to. Nathan's hot dog contest. Stay tuned for the end. I have a pick, and I have an over-under number for us, so get ready for that. I'm all kinds of jacked up tonight. Jeff, how we doing?
Yeah, first of all, happy 4th of July week to everybody. Probably by the time this airs, it'll be even closer, maybe even Thursday or Friday. So happy 4th. Just trying to survive the Carolina heat down here, boys, because I hear my Jersey friends and family complaining about the heat. I told them, come down here for one day. You'll be begging to go back to the cold of New Jersey. So outside of that, everything is great. It's great. So let's get rocking and rolling.
I'll tell you, though, Jeff, it was hot up here. We had like 106, 105, pop-up thunderstorms like crazy. So it was like North Carolina North.
Yep,
for a little bit.
I did see it.
But yeah, once again, if you're tuning in, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You know, we're glad to have you. If you're listening on Spotify or whatever you listen to your podcast on, great. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. Most importantly, tell somebody else. If you enjoy the show, tell somebody else about the show.
Tell your friends.
Exactly. Tell your friends. But it's the only way we're going to grow. In the bottom corner, you're going to see our link tree. If you click on that link, you'll be able to get us however you need to get to us. We definitely want you to reach out to us to talk about the bucket list. We want to know what your bucket list is. We want to know what that is. Okay. We want to know more about our listeners. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what grinds your gears. If you want us to talk about it, we'll certainly do that. Tonight, though, we're going to start off with something that is, I'm really ticked off right now. I'm like, I mean, it's not even like I can't even pretend to say, listen, things happen. I'm hot right now. And to me, I don't understand how you could be as good as you are and lose like the Mets have been losing. I understand, it's 2-1. And then you look up and Brazaban has given up 7 runs and now you're down 9-1. Or, you've got the bases loaded. And listen, I'm not going to get all wound up about Soto. And we're all going to wax poetic about what a great June he's had. And, his average with runners in scoring position is still 136 for June.
Yep.
With all the home runs and RBIs he had, 136. Listen, I love Juan Soto. Enough with the stupid smile. Hit the goddamn ball when there are runners on base. Please. You can't just leave it up to Pete. And then everybody wants to look at it and say, oh, Pete slowed down. Yeah, well, Pete can't do it for 162 games. It's like Aaron Judge is struggling a little bit right now. So all of a sudden the eyes are on him. How about somebody picking him up? And I get we've got pitching injuries. We've got them. But you just, like yesterday, Frankie Montas, I knew it was going to be hit or miss. He pitches so good against the Braves. The Pirates lit him up. I'm at the point now, I don't even want to watch them.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you mentioned Soto because I was a little nervous you were going to not wax poetic necessarily, but maybe, not even on purpose, but maybe make some excuses about how good of a month he had in June. But the reality is you're not paying him to have a good batting average. You're paying him to get RBIs. And when you're batting 136 with runners in scoring position and you're getting paid $750, that's unacceptable. Right. So, Met fans can talk about how great the month was. And statistically, I think he was on pace to have the best OPS, I think it was, for a Met in history for a month. But to be honest, who cares? He's 1 for, I think it was 3 for 22 with runners in scoring position. So that's a problem. He's got to fix that. But to me, it's funny, but relating it to football, right? Like, I panic in football because time is of the essence. You can't
Yes.
afford to go through a couple of games slump. With baseball, I generally don't panic. And if I'm a Met fan, I'm not panicking yet, but I'm definitely concerned. And I felt the same way about the Yankees when they were going through their slump. And the question that kept coming back to is, how can they be this bad? Like the Dodgers, you'll never see them get, I think it was 30-4 outscored against the Pirates. That's not going to happen to the Dodgers. That's not going to happen to the Tigers this year. So it's an unacceptable sweep. It's one thing to get swept by a bad team. That happens to every good team. It's just, it is what it is. But you cannot lose 30-4 in 3 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's just flat out unacceptable. And I'll tell you this, I'm a fan of this guy. He's my favorite Met, if that makes sense as a Yankee fan, but he's a guy that I like. Lindor's got to start picking up the pieces too.
Yeah.
Because he has not been good for 4 straight weeks.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's been a disaster. But I want to give him credit for one thing, and this is where I have faith the Mets will turn this around. That dude is a leader. Okay, I don't know if you heard his post game. I think it was yesterday, I believe, or maybe the day before.
I was too angry.
Oh man, this may not make you feel better, but if it's any consolation, he took the blame more than any athlete I've ever heard. Full blame, just constantly saying, "Listen, this is part of it's on me. I'm not hitting the ball. I'm getting good pitches. I'm just not feeling it right now." And it's really like to me, if I'm a Met fan. Again, doesn't make up for the bad play for a month, but it does ease the blow a little bit, saying, okay, they recognize it, right? He recognizes it. Now you got to hope that leadership can turn this team around because they need to.
My concern is, and you could wax poetic and all you want about this offense, about their struggles with runners in scoring position and everything else, but this pitching staff is an absolute disaster at this point. Over the last 2 weeks, you're looking at a 6.22 ERA over the last 2 weeks. And I don't care if you were scoring 100 runs, you're never going to win games when you're getting outscored and you're getting behind in the first 3 innings of every game. I'm looking at this at my phone and I'm seeing they're down 7-0 after 3 innings. You're never going to come back from that. I don't care what you're going to do in terms of offense and runners in scoring position and everything else. If you're playing that far behind every single day, that's a concern. And there's not a Max Fried or someone who's done this before on their pitching staff that you say, oh, it's just a little bit of a phase, they're going to come out of it. I'm concerned that this is the Mets pitching staff at this point, is they're going to have some problems doing that. I think you're going to have to go out and get somebody, which Stevie could certainly do, and they have some assets they could trade, but I think you got to get some sort of stopper because there is no stopper on this pitching staff right now. So that's my main concern. You could say what you want about the offense, but that's where I'm worried if I'm a Mets fan at this point.
Well, I agree with you, Mike. They're going to have to go out and get somebody pitching. But I'll also say this. They've lost 3 starting pitchers to injuries. Canning's done for the year. I don't know when McGill is out. I don't know when he's coming back. Senga's been out. We're still waiting for Minaya to come back. So do I think it's going to change when Minaya and Senga are back in the rotation? I do. But here's the other thing. You look at a guy like Blade Tidwell in the minor leagues who pitched really good, and now he comes up here. You bring him up to be a starting pitcher, and then you're using him in relief because it's like his pitch day, and he's going to be starting this week. When he's looked crappy in relief, but he's a starter, so I understand that. It's crazy. Starters can't relieve, and relievers can't start. It's a mentality.
Yeah.
But if he comes in this week and he, craps the bed, then you're going to say to yourself, well, are any of these pitchers? It's like when the Yankees have these dynamic hitters that in the minors, and then they come up and do nothing. And then at what point do you say to yourself, do any of these guys ever do anything? And that's what I'm going to say about the Met pitchers right now. Do any of them do anything right now? Come up and do something. How come other guys You know, you could pull up a Jacob deGrom back in 2012 or 2013. His first game is against the Yankees and goes 7 innings, 1-run ball.
Yeah.
You know, you're not seeing that happening now. But I agree, Mike. Right now, the starting pitching is a mess. The relief pitching is a mess because everything's just with those starters being hurt. Everything has just kind of been, you know, they're using relievers. Look at the relievers are pitching so many more innings because the starters, they can't get 7 innings out of them, you know?
Yeah. But it takes a week, right? It takes one good week of baseball to
Yep.
be ahead 3 games above the Phillies. Right now, you're only 1.5 behind, right? So it's not, again, that's why I'm not in panic mode.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I'm in concern mode if I'm the Mets. And look, Soto's got to get those numbers up with runners in scoring position, and Lindor's got to start heating up. If those two things can happen, right, then you'll be fine. And the pitching, Mike, you're spot on. Like, the pitching has to get better.
You can't give up 30 runs in 3 games to the Pirates.
No, it's inexcusable.
Give up 10 runs a game and expect to win because you're not. They're even when their lineup is hitting, they're not scoring 10, 11 runs a game with that lineup. It's just not going to happen. So you got to get it down to where it's 4 or 5. You could win a game 7-5 or something like that and you got to get a couple of zeros on the board to start with because if you're down every single game, I mean, we watched it with the Yankees when they were in their little bit of a rut that they get down early and there's no way they're coming back. So that's always my concern.
Well, I'll tell you, July 31st is going to be a big day for us because I think we're going to have a really good handle on the Mets and the Yankees because I heard today the Yankees' July schedule is absolutely brutal. Like every team they play is a playoff team except for the Atlanta Braves, and they've been playing better. And I think the Mets, just because of all their challenges, you know, it's going to be big for July. So I think July 31st, when we do this again, that's going to be a big check-in. That's going to be a huge check-in because here's the other thing. With the Yankees, you've kind of righted the ship a bit right now. Tampa just doesn't go away.
No, and they're not going to go away.
They're not going to, but what? How do they do it all the time? Right?
I don't know.
It's amazing. It really is amazing.
They're like the gnats. They're like the fly of the division. You can't get rid of, right?
You can't.
Look, I know it's the A's, but you have to beat the teams in front of you, right? So the Yankees winning that series, which, by the way, they could easily lose too. Like, when the Yankees are bad, it's unwatchable baseball. So the fact that they were able to get out of that hole they were in, and Judge he had a multi-home run game yesterday, so he's back. But I think we have to address Max Fried. And the way this guy is pitching this year, he's given us 5 wins in addition to what it would have been if he wasn't there. I truly believe that. And that could have made a difference in where they are right now. He has the 3rd lowest ERA in his first 17 starts for the Yankees since 1913. He's 8-1 after losses. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are huge for the Yankees right now. But I feel pretty comfortable, but Uncle Ted, you nailed it, right? The schedule coming up for the Yankees is brutal. But I'm actually excited for it because this is going to be the true test. Where is this team, right? What are they? Because I think they're good, but I don't know if they're as good as they actually are, or I think they are, right? So we're going to find out because this is it. I mean, this is the gauntlet they're going to have to get through. And I think, again, some Yankee fans might be nervous about the schedule, but I'm looking at it as a positive. Like, this is what we want. Like, we want to play the best teams to see where we're at. So there's no excuses, right? There's an excuse of beating the A's. They're the A's. But if you're beating teams like the Tigers and, go down the list of the teams they're playing, then now you can say, all right, now I feel really good about this team. But I don't want to say grade, but my assessment of the Yankees to this point is similar to the Mets, okay? I think they're really good, but I'm nervous about how bad they can be. Like, I'm not going to forget about that slump, how bad they were. I mean, they couldn't score. They couldn't hit. They couldn't do anything. They were a mess. So that can easily creep in and happen again down the road. But I feel very good about the starting pitching, Mike. I don't know about you, but I feel
Yeah.
really, really good. Rodon's pitching tonight. I think he gave up 1 run in 5 innings. He's been great.
He's
Max
losing
Fried
5-3 right now.
who? The Yankees?
Rodon, they took Rodon out. Loizaga came in. It's
Oh.
5-3 Toronto.
This literally just happened then.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
I
so
was
much
gonna
for that.
say, one thing about the Mets and the Yankees, I think with both of them, and I don't know how this is going to come out when I say this, but you might understand what I mean. There's a certain bit of a fraud element to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Agreed.
I mean, they were hot as hell, and then they go, then they showed their fraud element. You know, both of them,
But
and it's going to be a matter of how they come back. I mean, I think every team has a fraud element, but
yeah, it's
you know,
it's
we get
baseball.
so excited, you know, but
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose 60 games. You're gonna win 60 games. It's what you do with that other 42
yeah,
is what you are. So I can't get bent out of shape about that because I really like the complexion of this Yankee team. I think the starting pitching is there. I think Devin Williams has really turned it around since he got off the injury list in
He
terms
shut
of
me up.
what he could do with that. And he shut me up too because I was not the biggest fan of him at the beginning of the season, but he has come back and
Yeah.
won the closer role back.
Yeah.
I mean, it did help that Luke Weaver was hurt and he was had to go in there and do what he had to do. But I think the pitching staff is what's going to set this team apart because the hitting is going to go through their slumps. They're going to have guys that are hot and cold. But what you can't make up, like with the Mets, you can't make up starting pitching and giving you a chance to win pretty
Yeah.
much every day. There's no game where they're getting smoked off the bat. They have no chance to come back in these
Yep.
games. And if they do have one of those games, they have the offense where I could see them blasting, winning a game 14-12 if they had to. Where I don't know if you could see that with the Mets. So
Right.
I'm a little bit more confident with the Yankees in terms of where they are.
Oh, for
obviously,
sure. For sure.
obviously, I think you definitely want to try to maybe find another starting pitcher. I mean, I think everybody wants to do that, but this team is gearing up for October. I don't think anyone in this division is going to scare you. Say what you want about Tampa, they're a pain in the ass, but ultimately, the Yankees are going to flex their muscle and win this division comfortably,
Yeah.
and get a bye in the first round, and get to where we're going to be playing probably Detroit in an ALCS where it's just going to be an electric series. But this team has got to gear up. They got to get their ducks in a row. They got to keep everybody healthy. They got to keep Judge and Stanton healthy enough so that when they get to the playoffs, they can do what they did last year and continue going forward there. But, a rough patch here or there, if it's a week, I'm not concerned. If it's 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, that's when I start to panic when it comes to baseball. So, one bad week of things, not the terrible. And as long as you keep winning series, that's the most important thing. Win a series.
Yeah.
You're never going to win. You're never going to sweep everybody. But if you take 2 out of 3 every single series, you win like 110 games just by doing that. So that's where I'm at with the Yankees. I think it's good. Jeff, what are we thinking?
Well, I'll tell you this. I've had one come to Jesus meeting with myself about the Yankees. Volpe stinks. I am done with Anthony Volpe. I can't watch it anymore. It's not even at the point where it's like, okay, he's having a bad year or a bad month. The guy stinks. Okay, and I'm sorry because I'm eating crow because I was a huge Anthony Volpe fan. And when my fellow Yankee fans were like, "You're crazy. He's not that good," I'm like, "Give him time. He's young." He's not that young anymore, right? This is year 3, I believe, for him now, right? And he hasn't broken 240 ending the season. His defense is fine, except in big spots, right? His errors always seem to come in. Mike, you know this because you watch every game. Every time there's a big play that has to be made, he fumbles the ball. I can't. I know it's not easy to say, hey, just get rid of the guy. Who do you replace him with, right? But they have to do something, especially in the playoffs, right? Because his numbers in running with runners in scoring position are a mess, and that's a very important stat in baseball. If you're not or in the playoffs, right? You have to hit with runners in scoring position. He's a liability at this point. Now, I don't know what you do. I guess they have to ride with him. But Boone batted him 6th the other night. Like,
Ugh.
why is he batting 6th? He should be batting 9th every night. He should not. If he's going to be in the lineup, and I understand why he has to be, there is no excuse to put him batting 6th. So really, my only issue right now with the Yankees is Anthony Volpe. Everything else I think will be fine.
Yeah.
I don't see him turning it around. I mean, I haven't seen one shred of evidence, unless somebody can tell me what it is, that Anthony Volpe is going to turn into a decent player, because I just don't see it.
Yeah, I can see that, but well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what's going on. I want to move to something that might be a little bit more upbeat, or at least a little different. I want to. I mean, anything's more upbeat than talking about the Mets and the Yankees right
I'm
now.
sweating right now, guys.
And while you were on your Volpe tirade, he just struck out.
Oh,
So,
I can't believe it. No. I'd be if you told me he got a hit, I'd be surprised.
So, guys, over the last week, maybe let's take in the weekend, maybe a day or two before the weekend, whatever. What going on in the world of sports right now kind of has you like, I got to talk about this for a second, and we'll keep it quick. But what do you got, Jeff? What hit you that you want to throw out there right now?
Well, first of all, OTAs, right? NFL OTAs, and just that thing. It's back. It's coming back. NFL,
Oh
right?
yeah, I feel it.
I can't wait. So I don't typically follow OTAs too much. I just listen to the big stories. And the big story that we're hearing out of Giant Land is that Jackson Dart is absolutely crushing it. And that's not me being biased saying, oh, he's great. This is from like every reporter, people that are at the practices watching him play. They say he's lighting the place up. And there's rumors, and rumors is the key word. Nobody said anything in the Giants brass, that they're considering maybe starting him over Russell Wilson. Now, as a Giants fan, I really want to see Jackson Dart play, but it's not the right thing to do, okay? Because you have a guy who I think is going to be the future of the team. I really think he's the guy. But you can ruin a quarterback very easily. And we've seen that many times. You saw it with Zach Wilson. Go down the list. Maybe even Daniel Jones to a degree. Who knows, right? Let's see how he does in, where's he at now? Indianapolis. We'll see, But you look at the Giants' schedule this year. It's the hardest schedule, I think, in NFL history. I've never seen anything even remotely close to this. They're playing juggernauts the whole damn year. I think it's better off for Jackson Dart to sit behind Russell Wilson for a year and learn. Learn the speed of the game. Learn to be a professional. Learn New York, right? This isn't Indianapolis. This isn't New Orleans. This is New York City, right? Eli Manning didn't start right away. And if he did, maybe he's not as good as he turned out to be, right? So to me, you got Russell Wilson for a reason, to be a stopgap to the next quarterback. Don't screw up the apple cart. No matter how good he looks, and I don't care how bad Russell Wilson looks, just let it ride. You want to start him later in the season? Fine. But to me, I don't want to see Jackson Dart starting as much as I want to see him play. It's not the right thing to do, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Jackson Dart. I don't know. I think a lot of those decisions are going to depend on the heat that Shane and Dable are feeling. I think unfortunately they're not. Unfortunately, because of how crappy they've been, that's going to play a role in how they make the decision, which isn't the right thing.
Exactly.
But who knows? You know what I'm saying, right, Mike?
I mean, if Jackson Dart starts week 1, then they should not even go into the season with Shane and Dable, because they're already on their way out at that point, because that means that Russell Wilson really is a shell of himself and has nothing left in the tank. And you can't throw Jameis Winston in there in week 1, because you're gonna, throw away the season basically with interceptions. So
Winston.
I love him too, but you cannot have him throwing eating W's, which is really interceptions. But you can't have him start week 1. I agree, but if you get to a point in the season where the season's lost, you want to give him a shot later on, absolutely. But you can't go into OTAs or have him, with the ones in preseason football. Let him play the third quarter. Let you get excited about him in the third quarter with all the scrubs in there, get his feet wet, get him used to it, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what hit you this week?
So I would talk about my boy with the Hooters racing team, Chase Elliott. He broke a 44 race losing streak in Atlanta at his home track. I'm going to bore everyone to tears with that NASCAR, so I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go over to the NBA. These rumors going on about LeBron James trying to get back to the Eastern Conference because he sees that the Eastern Conference is weak because you're not going to have Halliburton next year. You're not going to have Tatum next year. You got all of these teams getting, Celtics trading away everybody and their mother. So the East is really wide open because you look at the West, it is stacked. You can't possibly get to a finals if you want to win your next championship in the Western Conference. You got a much better shot of getting back to the finals in the East. So curious to hear your guys' thoughts on where you think LeBron will end up, and if he ends up with the Knicks, what does that look like? Because I'm nervous that the Knicks are going to pull the trigger on this, like they typically do, and get a guy 4 years after they should have gotten him. But that's a typical Madison Square Garden move. Look at Jaromir Jagr, Eric Lindros. I could go down the list of every single person there. But I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on LeBron trying to weasel his way back to the East here.
Yeah, weasel is the key word for LeBron James. Let me tell you this. I don't hate anybody. I'm not that. I don't have hatred in me. It's just not my thing. LeBron's the closest thing to pushing me to the hate edge. I can't stand LeBron for a multitude of reasons. And weasel is the key word here because this is not what you want to see the best players of all time doing. Now he wants to sneak in to try to get another championship. And Mike, you nailed it. You took the words out of my mouth. The Knicks would be stupid to do this. I know it's a big name. It'll sell tickets. It'll do all that. But LeBron James is 40, okay? You're not going to do anything stupid to get this guy who they're probably not going to win with him. And even if they do, that I guess it would be worth it, but they're not going to, right? He'll make a difference, but it's not the right move. I am wildly against this. And I'm telling you, Uncle Teddy, you know my thoughts on LeBron. If they get him, I will not watch the Knicks. Will not watch him. I'm dead serious.
I don't think they're going to get him, but I could definitely see a world where it happens because here's a team that gets to the Eastern Conference Finals. They fire their head coach. It's a month now. They still don't have a coach. And honestly, I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they had somebody lined up. They didn't have anybody lined up. Nope. They don't know what's going on.
No, that's a mess.
And you know what? Maybe what they should do is get LeBron so LeBron can help them hire a head coach.
Oof.
Because know he's going to have the final say in whoever it is. Jeff, I'm with you on LeBron. I've never been a LeBron fan, never. And I, as a not a Knicks fan, I hope the Knicks sign him. That's the only thing I can say.
Of course, I don't blame you. Of course you do.
Right? I hope they do. But but no, that's as far as I'm going to go. That's all I'm going to give LeBron of my angst.
I saw the potential trade that worked out with the money and everything because he opted in today for $56 million. I mean, duh. Obviously, you're going to opt in for that. You're not going to take less than that somewhere else. Right. But I saw it was OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson for LeBron, Bronny, and some scrub on the Lakers all together. And it would work in terms of the cap numbers and everything else. So
Bronny. Oh, God.
Go New York, go.
Yep. We've seen this movie before. Like I said, Eric Lindros 2.0 right there, folks. Here he comes.
And the movie is a 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, so let's not do it. Really.
Yeah.
Guys,
what do you think? What stuck out with you this week?
Here's what stuck out with me, and I'm not going to shock anybody because everybody knows that I'm the biggest hockey fan, of the three of us. The NHL draft was Friday night, and I grew up a Rangers fan and then became an Islanders fan. And there is a story as to why I hate the Rangers. The next episode, I need to tell that story because we have a new fan, Megan, who I was talking with last week, and she's a Rangers fan, diehard Rangers fan. But I love her because she's a Shoresy's fan and a Letterkenny fan, and she wants to hear the story. So, Megan, I'm shouting out to you right now, but I'll tell the story next week. But I'm watching the NHL draft, and the Islanders with the number 1 pick, and they pick a dynamic defenseman. This kid, he is the goods. He's the goods. And when they call his name, he stands up, and you could see him start to tear up, and his father's crying and his brother's crying. And you don't see his mom, and the announcers tell you that his mom died of breast cancer like 14 months ago. And his mom was the person who, as every hockey mom does, drove him to the practices, drove him to the games, did everything. Well, he gets to the stage, and the Islanders, and this is a classy move by this organization, they had his jersey with the cancer ribbon and his mom's name on the ribbon.
Nice.
And when he saw it, he kissed the ribbon and he completely broke down.
Oof.
And even it was a disaster, the whole draft, because they did it decentralized, which they'll never do again. And he went into the little room where he can see on Zoom the Islanders brass, and he couldn't even hold it together.
Yeah.
And he
cool.
said how I wish, he says, I had 16. He's only 17. He's not even 18 yet.
It's crazy.
He said, I wish the 16 years I had with my mom will be the greatest 16 years that I ever had in my life. And I dare anyone who was watching that live not to be emotional. And I was emotional.
Yeah.
Yep.
And besides that, the Islanders, from whatever you can tell from a draft, they had an amazing draft. The players they drafted, it was really ridiculous. But that move there, that's the kind of thing where you walk away and you have all these crappy things that go on in sports. And that's the kind of a thing that you walk away and you say, wow, really good stuff can happen in sports, as far as, making this kid feel the way he felt. That did it for me.
Good job by the Islanders, too.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
Great job by the Islanders. And then when they asked him, the Islanders have a few big rivalries in the Metropolitan Division. They have the Devils, they have the Rangers. Who do you really look most forward to playing and beating? And he said, no disrespect to the Devils. He says, but I know the Rangers are their big rival. As of right this second, I hate them. And I want to beat them. And this kid, there's a spot right here in my heart for this kid right now after saying that.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. So I know you guys didn't see that, but
that's a cool story.
That was a great story.
I mean, the Rangers traded their pick for a head coach. So, we didn't get any draft picks in the first round. So,
well, neither did the Devils. We had nothing. So,
right.
Mike, you had some crazy picks last week, and I know you got a crazy pick this week. Jeff, you're not doing UFC this week?
No, they just had International Fight Week last week, so now it's a little bit of a slow time for the next month, or not month, a couple weeks.
I'll tell you this: it's never a slow time for Mikey Mush.
No.
So let's quickly recap what happened last week, and let's get to what he has for this week. And I think you're going to be a little surprised when you hear his stuff.
Yeah. So if we go back to last week, we had Icelandic soccer. We had a 3-team parlay. FH, Hafenjor were winners. We had UMF Starnen, also a winner. And we had the Reykjavik Vikings, a winner. 3-0 last week. And I am like,
you're on a roll.
I think like 10-1 in my last 12 picks. So if you've been riding with Mikey Mush, you have been collecting some cheddar goldfish. I will say it that way. So this week we have 2 different picks. As I said before, we will get to the hot dog eating contest in a minute. But you last week on the bucket list episode got me interested in obscure European sports, Ted. I did some research. I found an awesome sport in Finland. It is the national pastime of Finland. It is called Pesapallo. It is kind of a combination of baseball and cricket. Really fun. I got into a YouTube hole with it the other day, and I was watching all kinds of stuff on it, learning the league, learning what's going on, learning some of the rules. If you get a chance, check it out. It looks awesome. I want to go find somewhere to play this because it looks really, really fun. So I have a 3-team Finnish baseball-ish parlay. And again, these names are not going to come out the correct pronunciation, but we're going to give it a shot. So I have and all these games are on July 5th. So after you've had your hot dogs on Sunday, you're recovering, getting ready for the start of the next work week. Sit back and watch some of these Finnish Pesapallo games and enjoy yourself. So I have the Alajarve over the Haminian team. I have the Hijvinka against the Kempilan Kiri, and I have the Joensu over Vimpelli. I think these are 3 of the top teams in the league. Not going too crazy in terms of the underdogs here, but get a chance to watch it on YouTube. It looks awesome. So enjoy those 3. And as promised, the American tradition coming back here to the greatest spectacle in all of competitive eating, the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. We have the prodigal son has come home. He has figured it out with Major League Eating. Joey Chestnut will be there. He will be competing. Obviously, you're picking him to win. It's like minus 1,300 for him to win the thing. He's obviously going to win. But the bet of the day, and put all your cheddar goldfish that you've won so far on this, because the weather's supposed to be pretty nice on July 4th in Coney Island, over 71.5 hot dogs. Easy. He will be done with that by like minute 8. He will be at 71 hot dogs. So hammer that over. Enjoy the 4th of July. Have yourself a hot dog. Guys, Mikey Mush's picks for this week.
Well, remember what Mikey Mush always says. Life's too short to bet the under.
Correct.
Mike,
especially in hot dogs.
I will also put a link up to Pesapallo so that some of our listeners, if they want, they can they can get to that. Jeff, have a great July 4th weekend. We're going to be missing you, but I'll see you the week after next when you make a trip up east.
Yep.
Up north, rather. Mikey, enjoy.
Yes, put it in
July
reverse,
4th.
Terry. Stay safe with the fireworks, everybody. So
exactly. And everybody else, thank you. Have a great 4th of July, and we will see you again soon. Good night.